Seller not willing to negotiate after inspection. What should you do? Hey folks, my name is Chris at Hauseit, based here in Miami, Florida. Today we're going to talk about this interesting question that a lot of new buyers often ask us. And they're quite stuck. I mean, they, in South Florida, for example, there's an inspection period, usually 10, 15 days. And, they have a signed contract. They're still in the inspection period, so they can back out. They hold a home inspection and they find a few things, perhaps that, they might have missed initially. The inspector finds a few of these things. They usually do send a lengthy report because it's their job to nitpick. But then, the buyer's maybe not so happy, wants to renegotiate, or perhaps the buyer wants to just renegotiate and just as a reason to. Perhaps the buyer just wants to renegotiate because they want to get a lower price. But then what happens when you bring up these list of issues to the seller? You have your agent perhaps email it to the seller's agent, these issues that the inspector found. Perhaps you even share the entire inspection report. Oftentimes these inspectors are quite nice, and they'll often list the estimated cost for various repairs for things they found, and they'll give you a summary as well. And if you want to keep it simple, maybe the buyer sends this inspection report and say, hey, the inspector said to fix these things they found cost $10,000. I'd like a $10,000 reduction in the price. And the seller doesn't want to negotiate. Well, this is actually quite common and can easily happen depending on the market. If it's a hot seller's market, there's lots of buyers, lots of demand for the property. Yes, of course, the seller can easily just say, no thanks, I'm going to pass on that. And so what happens is then it's up to, in Florida, right? So where the buyer has the right to cancel during the inspection period, and they have 15 days, for example, and they're in contract, but they have 15 days to pull out. This is the inspection period. They find something they don't like. The seller refuses to negotiate, wants to stay at the same price. Then basically what happens is you can either agree to what this, to the original deal, or you can back out. That's really pretty much it. I mean, you can also delay until, right before the inspection period elapses, and keep trying to negotiate with the seller and see if, hey, I'm really going to back out. What do you think about giving me maybe like half of what I asked for? You can try, of course, but when right before the inspection period elapses, you really need to make a decision. You got to either stay with the original deal, or you can back out. In practice, though, what happens is typically in this situation, the buyer would just go and proceed with the original deal. And seller's market, whether it's a hot market or not, I mean, typically the buyers will do this just because they've already invested so much time and energy into the process. Usually if it's just a matter of a few $1,000s or something minor, they'll just go for it. Of course, if you're buying a single family house, for example, these inspections are quite important. They find like a major crack in the foundation or something quite serious, and the seller refuses to negotiate, then yeah, it may make sense for you to back out. But generally speaking, for condos where the inspection is really just of the interior and it's something very minor, maybe even a few $100, then most likely the buyer would just proceed as is. The only other situation we can think of where a buyer might actually back out, choose to back out, and might make sense for buying a condo, is if the market experiences a major crash during that brief interim period. So for example, the equity markets, experience a flash crash or some major crash during those, couple weeks of the inspection period. Then it may not matter what the reason is. The buyer may simply just opt to, for any reason, back out, as is their right. So there you have it. We hope you found this video helpful. My name is Chris at Hauseit. If you're looking to buy a property in New York or Florida, we can help you save 2% or more on your purchase by giving you 2/3 of the buyer broker commission at closing. That can be quite a bit of money if you're buying a new construction unit, for example, where they offer more than 3%. They might offer 5, 6, 7% commission to buyers brokers. So 2/3 of that can more than cover your closing costs. My name is Chris at Hauseit, and we'll see you on the next one.